everybody. Welcome to IndieCade's Beyond Screens. We are Peih-Gee Law and David Spira coming to you to chat about escape rooms. And today we have a very special guest, Brett Kuehner. And I know I pronounced that correctly because he just told me. And he is that guy with the puzzles. And we will be talking today about mechanical puzzles. So thanks for coming on, Brett.
Oh, you're glad to be here.
Welcome, Brett. So, you and I have known each other for a very long time. I distinctly remember meeting you virtually. It was a couple of hours to midnight on Twitter on New Year's Eve, and I was working on getting the first Golden Lock Awards post ready before we went out to a party. And some random guy started tweeting me on New Year's Eve about escape rooms, and I was like, I don't know who this is, but I need to become friends with them. And so that's how we got to know each other. Anyone who's ever gone out anywhere with you or ever met you in person knows that you kind of walk around with a giant bag of puzzles, like, I don't know, 20 to 40 pounds of puzzles at any given point in time.
It's a
Did
good
you say
workout.
pounds? Okay.
It's probably like 10 pounds, but for special occasions, it's more.
Okay, but 10, I feel like the puzzles you're talking about, 10 pounds of puzzles is not 10 puzzles. That's like 50 puzzles.
It depends. Some are metal, they're heavy.
Yeah, the metal ones have some heft to them.
I also wanted to say hi to Chad Lumberjack. Is that Andrew?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Andrew. What's up? We got some more. Brett is also one of our Hive Mind reviewers. So we've got some more Hive Minders in the chat.
Yeah, so my history with mechanical puzzles is really kind of all about my history with lockpicking, which I see as very much a mechanical puzzle. And then there is this whole layer of mechanical puzzles that are puzzle locks that look like regular locks but have dark, evil secrets. And so that was kind of where we had originally bonded and how I've gotten into mechanical puzzles. And then every time I hang out with Brett, I get exposed to more and more mechanical madness. And I love these things. And there's a lot of really cool stuff in it. It has a really cool community, and there's a lot of like stuff that everybody knows, the stuff you'll see in escape room lobbies and that you'll find in toy stores. But then there is like these layers deeper that Brett has introduced me to, and we're going to be sharing with you today, which are all of these frequently handmade or small production run made by people who are really good at machining metal or working with wood. The craftsmanship on this stuff can be astounding. So that's kind of the overview of where we're going to go today. So Brett's going to be working through some, taking us through a tour of some of the puzzles he has, talking a little bit about the types and the mechanisms, give you a little bit of tips and approaches, and then we're going to have Brett function as more or less an avatar as we solve a puzzle that is currently behind him, the toolbox puzzle. So that's what we have going on today.
Yeah, back there.
That's awesome. I always see these like in the lobbies of escape rooms, or like I always get handed these at bars for some reason. Like they're like, here, play with this, and I'm like the baby in the corner, like occupy me for hours, and I can never remember. Like even the most basic ones, I can never figure them out or remember because I'm really bad spatially. So I'm really excited to like any tips and tricks you have. I'm super excited to learn.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon that people don't remember how to solve them. I don't remember how to solve most of them. What I can remember is like a key element of them, and that's helpful, but yeah, I hand puzzles to people all the time, and the first reaction a lot of people have is, "Oh, I'm no good at these." Right? And I think that's a combination of what you see in escape rooms is like, I'm afraid that I'm not going to solve this and that will be embarrassing or whatever. Or maybe, they don't actually like that style of puzzle or whatever. But if you give people a chance, they're usually much better than they expect or than they claim at solving them. You got to give a puzzle that's fair. You can't give a puzzle that takes somebody 16 hours to solve and say, here you go, in a bar. They're not going to want to focus on it. You learn after doing this what's good and not good to hand out, at a bar or a party or whatever. You don't want a puzzle with a million pieces. You don't want one with tiny ball bearings that are going to roll under the table, that sort of stuff. You want one. Metal puzzles are great. This is like a very common, standard metal type puzzle. This kind is great because somebody can drop it in their drink or their soup or whatever. You just wash it off and it's fine. Also puzzles that are very sturdy are good for newer puzzlers because they don't know what's legal or not. It's fair. You are in an escape room. You want to be told, don't use more than this amount of force, but you don't necessarily know what the right amount of force is until you experienced it for a puzzle, right? Some puzzles take a little bit of a push or a nudge to get through something. So you don't want to be stuck on something. And if it looks fragile or expensive, you might be a little hesitant. I know I'm a little more aggressive with puzzles that I own than with some that somebody else has given me. David ran into this recently. He was over and solving puzzles, and he knew what to do. He was just a little hesitant to do it because he didn't want to break a puzzle.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's kind.
I do the same thing with other people's mechanical puzzles that I do in escape rooms. Is if I think I have a good idea, but I also think it might be a really, really bad idea, I will just announce myself. In the case of, working on a mechanical puzzle at a friend's house, I'll just be like, hey, I think I need to slam this. And I will either be told, go with that instinct, or please don't do that.
Dear God, please no. Yes. I guess if you want, I can talk a bit about some different types of puzzles, some that people have seen, kind of categories of puzzles, and then we can get into a little deeper dive on puzzle boxes and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I pinned your videos, so if you want to show any of them, you can. It'll look beautiful, nice and large.
Okay, great. So I guess some common types of puzzles people have seen are like metal tanglement puzzles. That's a pretty common one, 2 pieces. By the way, I will probably be showing solutions to some puzzles during this. If I'm going to show something that's a spoiler, I'll announce beforehand it's a spoiler. People can skip a little bit ahead or whatever. But mostly I'm not going to be spoiling things because that's going to take away the fun of solving it. I don't mind giving people hints or answers when they're solving in person, if they really want to know, but I want to make sure they do want to know because sometimes they'll get it on their own. So
I'll forget everything in 2 seconds. Like those metal puzzles, I've been shown how to do it like 10,000 times, and I forget every time.
Yeah, well, I find some types of puzzles very hard to hold in my head. Metal tanglements, because they interweave with one another and are complicated motion paths that are not. They're very analog. It's not just like, oh, it's on or it's off. It's like you tilt it kind of like this and
there's like a trick of it. It's
right.
It always feels like a magic trick to me. Like I don't understand how these things work.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a physics trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a topology trick, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is that
a what?
Topology? The study of like shapes and knots and things like that.
Yeah.
Because all these things look like they're knotted together. Like you have something that looks like, hey, I've got this and I can't get that apart, and it looks like a magic trick with linked rings or whatever. But you can and there might be a little spoiler here, but anyway, you just go around and through and over. I'm going to do this quickly so it's not too much of a spoiler.
What? Like he went off camera. Like I'm like, how did that?
He's a witch. Burn him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and you can put it back on. So it's not. This one's pretty common and pretty available. It's a good kind of starter for things, but it's also. It looks like it's impossible. It looks like here's a loop. But what you see is it's not really a loop. There's a hole here, and there's a way to get stuff through the hole. You just have to figure out how to use them. So, puzzles, I think David's pointed this out in the past for puzzle locks and things like that. They're not a good thing to have in an escape room. You don't want to put a puzzle like this because it depends a lot on, unless you know your target audience, you don't want to have this because it depends a lot on previous knowledge, previous experience.
Are there rooms that put those in?
Oh gosh, there was a short-lived room in a company in New York that had some atrocious games, and we actually had played this game with Haley and Cameron from Strange Bird Immersive. They were in town, and this was just a game we hadn't played, so we took them to play it. and it had this incredibly elaborate rope entanglement where you had to solve it 3 times. And frankly, none of us were capable of solving it once. Um, and so we used all of our hints to get this thing undone. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. And then the other side is that I've seen mechanical, especially puzzle locks that I know really well and could solve probably blindfolded. I've seen those as well. And then you're kind of left with the choice of, do I just not touch it and hope someone else solves it? Or do I wait until my team gives up because it's really complex?
I don't. I mean, so I don't mind seeing mechanical puzzles in a room if you are at some point given the directions for how to solve it. And like say that one that you showed us. If they gave us a huge version of that where we have to turn a big wheel and manipulate it, but we are somehow given instructions, so what seems impossible, and then you somehow maybe you find the you solve a puzzle and you finally get the instructions.
Yeah.
And then the impossible, now you can do it and it feels like magic. I'm okay with that. But to have that be the puzzle would drive me insane.
I agree with you. And I've seen it executed reasonably well in different places. But yeah, and as Celia is pointing out in the chat, it's really hard to collaborate on, especially things like entanglements or these very long processy puzzles where you're experimenting and you're learning by failing at stuff, which is kind of the way to, in my experience, the way to get good at mechanical puzzles is to just be willing to fail a lot. It's easy to articulate to someone how you do a thing. It's hard to articulate to someone the 24 ways you figured out not to do a thing.
Right. Yeah, and right, like you said, you can make them work, but it's hard. And taking one that's just off the shelf and saying, okay, you're going to solve this way, that's probably not going to be a satisfying experience, right? It's more like, now you've learned how to solve that puzzle. I guess that was interesting, maybe, if you don't mind the spoiler. But what you want in an escape room, I think, is a different kind of aha. And the duration of puzzles in escape rooms, typically you want to be much shorter. Any of these puzzles that I've got here, a couple might be picked up and somebody solves very quickly, but you can't count on that because they're aha dependent, and then some have a long process built in as well. So you've got to be very careful about how you calibrate that.
For those who are unfamiliar, kind of aha versus process. Aha puzzles are things that you have a moment of inspiration, and whether it's instantaneous or something you kind of have to work to get. It's that moment where you solve the puzzle and the puzzle is effectively done.
So something that you typically see a lot in escape, not a lot, but I've seen them quite enough that it's not interesting to me anymore, are the ones that you spin. You spin like the centrifugal force. Whatever the locking is, it flies out and then you can open the box. It's like the first time it was cool, but then after that, it's like you see it, you already know what to do.
Exactly. That's a classic aha. Whereas process, to take it out of mechanical puzzle, Brett's going to show you some that I think are really much cooler than the example I'm about to give. But like a Sudoku is a process puzzle. I happen to really like Sudoku, not in escape rooms, but I like Sudoku. I like process puzzles when I'm not under time pressure. And sometimes I like process puzzles in escape rooms, but not necessarily Sudoku.
It has to be a fun process for that. That's the thing. I mean, look, Egyptian laser Sudoku could be fun to execute, but it's gotta be in a way that's fun. It's got to be large scale. It's got to be something I can't do on my tabletop to be exciting, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, there's other kinds of common puzzles, like this puzzle box here. And warning, spoiler, it's got a lock on it. Oops, I've spoiled it already. It's got a lock on it, but no key. Oh no, what do I do? And then you discover, oh, if I press here, whoop, there we go, and now I can open it, right? So this is a common one. I've seen this in escape rooms. This one is a particularly very easy one to open, so you can accidentally find the answer. But anyway, it's a common one, and not necessarily great. It can be fun because it could be kind of accidentally discovered. You just poke at it. But when you get much harder than that, it might not be a great choice. For example, here's a lock puzzle. We were talking about those don't belong. This is called Fire Starter. It's a funny looking lock, but it is a legit lock that's been modified into a puzzle. And the idea is you got to get this ring off here. And it does come with a key. but the key doesn't just go in, of course, because where would the fun be there? So that's a kind of puzzle that you might very well enjoy solving at home, but it's not going to be something you want to solve under pressure in an escape room. Um, it's just not great. Then there's other puzzles that are interesting in other ways, but again, not well suited. For example, here's an egg, and the goal of this is balance it. On my hand actually it's really easy because I'm sort of cupping it, but it's much harder on a table. There's a ball bearing inside, you can probably hear, and so that's just a balancing puzzle. It's a different type of puzzle altogether.
I played with those the other day. Like Tommy showed me like a whole little egg carton of them, and it's like
Yeah.
there's different things that like some of them are like magnets that you have to get into a certain place or unlock. Right? It's
Well,
like
they're
you have to
they're all
shake 'em.
opaque. They're 3D printed, so
Yeah.
they are. You don't have any idea what's inside. You have to deduce what's inside just by rattling and tilting and fiddling with it. They're made by somebody named Core Mods, or that's their handle online, and 3D printed. And basically, you 3D print part of it. You can put components inside and finish the 3D print, and
They were
you've
driving
got
me
that.
nuts.
Um,
But
Actually, talking about three. Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna give a shout out to Matthew Stein, who's also in chat. I just wanted to say
Ah,
hi.
Yeah.
He says Sudoku aren't even always purely processed. There are lots of Sudoku variants with interesting logical ahas.
Yeah, and especially in more recent years, Sudokus have gotten really, there are some truly interesting Sudokus for sure. But like traditional Sudoku is 100% processed puzzle.
right. Yeah, but right, and Sudoku, not my favorite style of puzzle. I don't really like the that deep kind of logic deduction puzzle, but I can appreciate some of them and the construction of some of them. And there's been some interesting variations of Sudoku that have had physical incarnations where, you have in Sudoku, you've got constraints about what can be placed where. You can implement those constraints in physical form and say, okay, it's literally not possible to place, two numbers in the same zone. Maybe they're not numbers, maybe they're pegs or whatever, but it just won't let you because there's physical constraints built into it. So that tactile nature of it is kind of what appeals to me about mechanical puzzles, and why I like even like we were mentioning earlier, Egyptian laser Sudoku might be an interesting implementation that overcomes my aversion to Sudoku and gets into, this is kind of fun anyway because I'm taking giant things and there's laser beams and other stuff. Don't know why there's lasers in a pyramid, but
Are
you
you
can
really good
figure
with
that.
Are you really good with directions, Brett? Like, are you
I'm
good
terrible with
spatially?
directions.
Really?
I,
I feel
I, I'm
like
I'm good. I'm good spatially. I'm terrible with directions. I've described myself as directionally impaired. Google Maps is my best friend when I'm traveling somewhere. So, um, but yeah, we're talking about 3D printed puzzles. So there's other 3D printed puzzles. These are called Paradise. Here we go. This is not a product plug,
oh,
but
cute.
so they look like dice. They come like this attached, and so first step is to figure out how to detach them. Then you have to figure out how to solve these. These fall into a category called sequential discovery puzzle. So these are sort of puzzle boxes in that they're this is actually a thing up for debate, right? What's a box? You'd think that would be an easy question to answer. Well, these are cubes, right? So they're kind of box shaped. Um, but they're a puzzle that's not mostly about opening the box, except that kind of is. There's little poker chips and dice hidden inside here that you have to find. And so there is a space inside, a cavity. So does that count as a box? Yeah, sure, if you want to. I'm not dogmatic about it. But the thing about that type of puzzle, sequential discovery, is you're finding tools along the way. So you are going through, and as you do it, you might press something, and then something pops out. You can then use, and maybe it's like a thin rod, and you can use to poke at something else to get to the type of puzzle you guys are going to solve later on. The toolbox over here, that is a sequential discovery puzzle. It's also a box. There's cavity inside. It's sort of both types.
So
I,
I was just gonna say real quickly, on our last show, David and I had on a guest, Will, and the name of his Kickstarter is called Arium, and because he's like terrarium, aquarium, and he just basically said he figured an arium is like a container for possibility, and that's so that's why he decided to call his game. Sorry, David, I didn't mean to
no
interrupt
worries. Yeah.
you.
Yeah, sequential discovery puzzles are, if I had to like pick a single puzzle type that if I could only ever solve one puzzle type forever, it would be sequential discovery. Love, I love puzzles that reveal their layers of complexity and shift as you solve them. That's something that I get a lot out of.
Right. And I've realized that uh, I view when I've designed escape rooms and when I play escape rooms, I kind of view them as a puzzle box, a sequential discovery puzzle box. In the case of designing a good one, it's a puzzle box you're solving from the inside. And so you want to design it that players can find tools, they can use those tools to operate on things. You know, if in the rooms I've designed, they are very much tactile, kind of you're constructing things, you're finding tools and applying them and other things like that. So it's a view that maps very well to escape rooms.
I agree with you, and I would say most of my favorite escape rooms kind of feel like that if you actually stop and think about the way that they mechanically function.
Right.
Well, so I mean, like if you look at a game like The Room, that app game, which is basically based on Japanese puzzle boxes, and it's funny because when we interviewed them on our podcast, they were like, "Well, but we're not an escape room. Why would you guys want to talk to us?" They were like so confused. We were like, "They're basically the same thing. Like, come on our show."
You are the coolest escape room. If you could only make it in real life, we would love you forever. Basically, is the thing, right? The room is great because the puzzle boxes in that, especially the VR version of that, are as close to real puzzle boxes as in anything that I've done that's not an actual one in front of me. And they can make them with, impossible physics. They can make them where you do things that are not possible in the real world, which is the perfect thing, right? You want to take advantage of the medium. And if all they did was like, okay, it's this perfect simulation of a puzzle box that you could have in your hands, you're not really using VR well. But if it's a perfect simulation of a puzzle box you can have in your hands, but when you press this button, you're now warped through time and space to some other location where you're solving a giant monolith or something. Awesome. That's something I can't do in real life.
Exactly. And for me, whatever medium you're working in, like the question that I always try to ask is like, what is this medium good at and what is this medium bad at? Like physical puzzles are always going to be limited by physics, those laws that can't be bent or broken, at least without incredible expense or speed or heat or something. That's a limitation. And so when you're talking video game, like, yeah, you should lean into, lean a little bit away from base reality because there are opportunities to do stuff that's really cool. So speaking of Japanese puzzle boxes.
Oh yeah, actually, I was just going to finish up with sequential discovery. Just this cannon puzzle here. This is a classic sequential discovery. It's actually available. A lot of these puzzles, unfortunately, are not commonly available because they're expensive or they're limited manufacture, whatever. This one is commonly available. You can see down the barrel there. There's a little cannonball. The idea is to get the cannonball out, and so you have to, figure out in this apparently solid cannon how you do that. And as you go, you're going to find some tools, you're going to find some hidden secrets, you're going to find other stuff, and it's a satisfying and relatively inexpensive puzzle. It's also made of brass, which is a nice thing. That's another thing about these puzzles, as we'll discuss, is that they can be as much about the art and the work of it as it is about the puzzle. Some of the puzzles that I like a lot are very easy. They're just a couple steps, and maybe not even very challenging, but they're just beautiful. They're beautiful woodworking or whatever. So yeah, so to go with the Japanese puzzle boxes, right? So I've got a variety. They can be something simple like this, which is literally, it's a wooden box. It's a very nicely made wooden box, but it's a wooden box, and you have to look at it and say, oh, maybe I can slide a panel a little bit here, and there's a little bit of movement on it. Yeah. And oh, there we go. I've revealed something.
And this style of box really is all about teeny tiny movements, making many little movements that allow you to eventually free up a side of them.
Right. There's a group of craftspeople in Japan called the Karakuri Group, and they produce these, they tend to be hundreds of dollars, 100 to I guess they just released one that was a couple $1,000s, but they are very finely crafted and they're beautiful. Here's another one that has beautiful.
Ooh, that's gorgeous.
Inlays, different types of wood, and it's just very tactile and satisfying to hold, and moves very smoothly. So those are all nice. Then they have some that are more complex looking, where we've got all these drawers, and you have to figure out, okay, I can't pull out that drawer, but I can pull out that drawer. So I wonder what I can do and how I can use a sequence, and maybe everything that I can manipulate is obvious, or maybe not this puzzle, not a spoiler, but this puzzle maybe I've turned upside down. Maybe that's part of it, or maybe there's something. I think the best designs have some affordance on them that gives you a clue as to what to do. So, for example, if there's a puzzle and you have a dog and a bone, it's going to be very satisfying if you at some point give the bone to the dog, and that's part of the solution, right? That's going to be something that's a natural thing to do, but also it just feels like a nice step in the process.
Did you just call it an affordance? What is that?
Yeah. An affordance is basically a user interface thing. Actually, David, why don't I hand that to you? You can describe it.
Yeah. Affordances are the things that you do to make it more player friendly, to make it more solver friendly. So affordances in an escape room context are like, the stuff that you do, if you had a really hard puzzle but you wanted to include it, the stuff that you do to soften the curve. The little symbols you put on things, the way the rules are crafted, the way you use light or sound to draw people's attention. All of these things can be affordances, but basically it's the way that you add a little bit of guidance for the player.
Right. So a simple example of one, it's a clue, right? A simple example of one is, if a door should be pulled, you want a handle on it. If it should be pushed, you'd rather have a plate on it. That's like a classic example of an affordance, right?
Yeah, Celia in chat, she's saying it literally means the physical capabilities of an artifact.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you can apply that in both physical and non-physical terms as well. Game structure can lead you to understanding how to play the game. The best games, you don't have to have a giant rule book where it says, here's exactly what you can and can't do. It's more natural. It's like, well, I've got money, I can spend it, or whatever the game structure might be.
Yeah. The flip side of that is like just the lack of affordances for those who were playing video games back in like the NES era, where game design was just chaos. You could have games like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that do absolutely nothing to teach you how to play it. Some character sprites are enemies, some aren't, and there's no way to tell the difference. You just die suddenly. Like, these are games that, like, so the flip side is lack of affordance, and that is where the game is going out of its way to be obtuse and not teach you how to play it at all.
That sounds really infuriating.
Peih-Gee, you'd love it. You would absolutely love playing.
And too many times people do that, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's why my room is so hard. Like, that's why this thing I made is
because hard." You're not a good designer.
Yeah.
I have opinions. Yeah. And the flip side of that is like the Strange Bird folks, the Man from Beyond in Houston, right? They actually gave a talk talking about this tiny affordance they put on something because they tracked how many people solved or didn't solve. They put a tiny little change in it, and all of a sudden people had a smoother flow. They had a good solve. It wasn't something that they wanted to be hard. It was, they wanted this to be a natural step. And if people are tripping over that, they're not having the fun. They're not having the game flow experience that the designers wanted. And so because they are good designers, they went through, monitored that, figured out a tiny change, experimented with it, saw it worked, and then there you go. Now you've got a better game that people are enjoying more. And I think a lot of designers of puzzles and escape rooms in general could learn from that and could say, you know what, we need to play test. And it's not just about play testing before the game goes live. You should continually monitor things. If you get to a point where everybody says, they say, oh yeah, everybody asks for a hint at this step. Okay, your puzzle's probably broken.
Yeah.
You should not celebrate that. You should fix that.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple more puzzles here. So here's a rocket ship one. Just beautiful woodworking. This one's really easy, except it's really easy because there's only 3 steps. I will tell you, every time I take this out of the box, I forget how to solve it. Last night I took this out. I'm like, right, is it stuck? Because sometimes these puzzles are sensitive to humidity and stuff. Right now my house is about 46% humidity, which is kind of optimal for puzzles, which is good. But in the winter I have puzzles that don't work. I do have a friend who sets his house humidity based on what's good for puzzles, not what's good for humans. So But I don't, but I do regret when some puzzles don't work. But this one I couldn't figure out how to solve for like a minute and a half. I've solved it a bunch of times before. I'm like, wait, what's that step? So PG, you were saying about remembering, right? It's just all about how do you file things away in your brain. I have other friends who like they solve a puzzle once, they'll never forget. It's, you know,
I forget every time.
yeah. Um, the Karakuri group has this thing where you can sign up and get puzzles from craftspeople that they have in their group, and they will send you them right around Christmas time. You don't know what you're going to get, just that you're going to get a nice puzzle from this you know, designer that you've seen before, seen their work. And so a lot of them are Christmas themed. So we've got Christmas Boot here, which has packages in the top.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
you know, as you might expect, you know, some
Yeah.
pieces, you know, kind of move a little bit. And so again,
And
this is a box. There's a cavity, there's an opening. You have to figure out how to, you know, get into the opening. That's the goal.
In chat, Andrew says, of course, Brett's house would be a puzzle humidor.
Yes, I do
yeah.
not actually have a dedicated room for puzzles, but I
You have a
I
dedicated
friends who do.
house for
I mean,
them.
Brett,
Okay,
it's
fair enough.
basically a puzzle house.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. The
Um,
one other thing that's kind of worth noting about especially these Karakuri puzzles is but a lot of the wood ones is the level of craftsmanship, the joinery, the marquetry, all the inlay work that's being done. Um, there is some wild stuff. Yeah, like that's all wood,
right.
right?
So this puzzle's all wood. I've opened it, so I'm not going to show the solution. But let's see if we can get the focus in. See these little steps here? Those are tiny, tiny little steps. They matter. You can see the little staircase sort of steps there. It's tiny. This box takes 22 moves to open or close, and yet it's this tiny little thing. It's very precise, and you know, it just that's the level of detail and precision you can get.
Yeah,
Um,
Matthew says, yeah, if you spin your house,
yeah, yeah.
if you spin
Spin my
Brett's
house.
house, all the puzzles come
It'll make
flying
a big
out.
mess is what it'll make. Yeah. So there's other designers in the US who also make, you know, very high quality detailed puzzle boxes as well. So this box is by a guy named Perry McDaniel. It's called he's got these Petty Four series, which are just like little, they each are named after a kind of cake. And they all kind of look like the same shape and size, but they all have different solutions to them. They're all like multiple steps, find the sliding things. The Karakuri group in Japan has a whole series of cake boxes that look like little cakes with decorations. In this case, I have to tell people the decorations are not part of the puzzle because that's one of those things that's natural to try to rotate them. They're just decorative. The puzzle is something else. You know, then there's puzzles like this one's from Mongolia. There's a guy
Whoa.
in Mongolia, Tumen Ulzi, uh, who you know, carves these, and this is a, a standard thing in Mongolia. This turtle is a common design shape, and you know, you've got to figure out how to open this, and there's space inside. So again, it's a box.
Oh, that one is
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah, he's great. He's made a ton of, you know, wonderful puzzles and all hand carved and things like that. So yeah, around the world. Also, there's a guy named Eric Fuller who lives in the U.S. who designs puzzle boxes and wooden puzzles and crafts them as well. And so we've got a box like this, which you know, you got to figure out how to get in. You can tell, well, there's some things here. I wonder what those are. Also, you can tell the wood is just beautiful. You know, the you know, different characteristics of the wood. Some of this moves a little bit. You got to figure out how to, you know, use that and use the pieces you find along the way. There's some boxes that are relatively easy to solve. Some are harder to solve. This one, the small button box, also by Eric Fuller. Well, look, I can press the button down, but I haven't gotten any further than that. I can find some other things on it that move a tiny bit, but I've had this for a couple of years and I haven't solved it yet. I may actually ask for a hint. On a box that I think I'm really going to like, I might keep trying and trying just because I want the aha. I'm not shy about asking for hints. Oh, there we go. Matthew just posted a link to cubic dissection in the chat there. So if anybody wants to go and look for that.
And
Um,
this is another thing worth noting is that some of these puzzles will take your typical solver minutes to solve or even seconds. Some of them that may literally take years. I have mechanical puzzles, some that Brett has given me, that have sat on my desk for years. And eventually one day I had the aha, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got this now. And sometimes they have remained unsolved. I have a puzzle lock that Brett gave me years ago that I have no idea how to solve it at all.
That's the one with the plus shaped key.
Yeah, yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I recently got a hint to that so I could solve it because I hadn't solved it either. So
I may have to take you up on that hint.
that was made by Shane Hales, who made the other Firestarter lock I showed
Yeah.
showed earlier, who's in the UK. So let's see. Just a couple quick other things I wanted to cover before we dive into you guys solving. I want to make sure we have enough time for that. People who are, uh, you know, basically anybody who's ever seen a puzzle has probably seen a Rubik's Cube. Let's see, I've got some examples back here. You've got your
Oh my God.
your more or less standard Rubik's Cube, but this one is a calendar, which I think I have set for yesterday. But you've got some larger Rubik's Cubes. You've got some smaller Rubik's Cubes. You've got Rubik's Cubes that that are transparent, also only one layer, but yet they do scramble up. It's sort of like, how does that possibly work? These pieces aren't attached to anything. That's called a floppy cube, and you can actually scramble it. You can actually these are shape shifting, which is pretty cool. So it's now
Whoa.
not even
Oh my
slightly
God.
square.
It looked so simple for just a second.
Yeah. And then you've got people who have just gone off and made, variants of twisty puzzles in general. That's the genre. So this one, these circles can rotate. The problem I've got with this one is that some of these circles, well, you can see here, you've got intersections where the rotations aren't possible anymore. Some of them actually become oblong. They're not even circular, and so that you have to undo that first. So they're challenging.
At some point, it just becomes abstract art.
Yeah, well, that's how I treat a lot of these things. Is I like the mechanics. Like, here's a 12 by 12 by 12 Rubik's cube, which is beautiful
Oh
and
my
actually
God.
turns nicely. It's an amazing mechanical design feat. But I'm never going to scramble it and solve it because it's more work than I would enjoy. The process part, if you're into it, is delightful. If you're not into it, it's a chore.
I can barely do
Um,
slide puzzles.
So
Yeah, I also have some puzzles that I have acquired because I like the fact that they exist, not because and the way that they work, not because I think I'm ever going to be able to solve them, like Kane's Jawbone,
right,
uh,
yeah,
which is not a mechanical puzzle, but it's a paper puzzle. It is a book in loose leaf form. It was written over 100 years ago, and it is a puzzle. It's a mystery story, and the puzzle is figuring out the order that you have to put the pages in, and then there's some level of extraction to it. Uh, and somebody recreated it a few years ago, put it up on Indiegogo, and I supported it just because I wanted it to exist. Um, but it's really cool. It's the writing is let's just say dated. There are some phrasings and some ideas in there that I don't think I wouldn't want to see written in something modern, but having it as a historical artifact, it's certainly an interesting puzzle that I'm quite confident I'll never solve.
right. Yeah. I mean, that's true. There's puzzles that I've got that I have not solved, probably never will, but again, they're just beautiful works of art. So speaking of works of art, actually, puzzle rings are another nice thing here. These are gorgeous. This one's sterling silver and it's nice. I've got it tied shut because, as you'll see, I took another one out and untied it earlier, and so this is very nice. Except that it very easily comes apart into this,
Pu-
and so
Puzzle Ring has PG's attention.
yeah, these are beautiful. And there's a couple different designers of those now. There's actually 3D printable ones. Oscar Van Deventer and Bram Cohen both are noted puzzle designers. And yeah, it's Bram Cohen, the BitTorrent, and now Chia. cryptocurrency guy, but he also is a puzzle designer as well and has designed a whole bunch of different types of puzzles, some in conjunction with Oscar and some on his own. Um, but yeah, he designs puzzle rings and other things. Speaking of Oscar Van Deventer, actually, this is one of his designs, which is a um, produced by a company called Hanayama. If you look them up online, they've got these cast metal puzzles that are very nice. They're inexpensive. They're like $15, and this one is a maze. It's like you've got this thing you've got to navigate through the maze here. And the interesting thing about it is that it's a double-sided maze because there's things on both sides, but it's really just single-sided because it's on a Mobius strip,
Yeah.
which only has one side. So you're navigating something through both sides of a one-sided object simultaneously, which is really just different positions on a one-sided object. It's a very interesting and strange concept.
I think Hanayama puzzles are I really like them a lot. They are also the official puzzle of like half-solved puzzles sitting around in escape room lobbies.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, people might have seen, this key puzzle that's a Hanayama puzzle. It's actually an old design that they reproduced, and this is one where you have to, take the keys apart. There's a variant of that has, Mickey and Minnie.
Wait, solve it. Can you solve it? Can we see?
This one I can try, sure. Let's see. So it's essentially like a maze where you're navigating things around. Let's see if I can actually hold this up on screen here. Put me on the spot. There we go. Okay. So now you can navigate through. I like it in the fact in this one that the ears are actually part of the maze here.
Oh.
So you have to actually get it through the ears. That's a variation they added for this. And that again, I don't know if you call that an affordance, but it's an elegant part of this. So now you've got, two separate.
So it's just finding the
keys.
angle where it can fit around corners and things like that.
Right. So if you look here, and this gets into what we're going to talk about in a little bit about tips for solving things. You can see there's these tiny gaps and tiny small changes in depth and stuff. And so when you're trying to navigate this piece around, you have to figure out where this will fit and where it won't.
Okay, this sounds like math. Like there's some geometry involved.
The thing I like about
physics.
it is it's not really, you don't have to understand those things. It's a more intuitive thing. My puzzle approach, I have friends who will look at a puzzle, you'll show them a puzzle, and they'll look at it and say, oh, okay, I think I know the answer, or I understand the math, or whatever, before they even touch it. That's not me. My puzzle approach is I fiddle with things. I'm a much more, hands-on solver of things. So I won't do the math. I won't do the analysis. And there's puzzles I'm terrible at because of that. That part of it feels like work to me, and the actually manipulating things is the joy part of it. So
yeah.
Oh, hey, Errol. Errol's in chat. I just wanted to say hi.
Happy 50th birthday, Errol.
Oh, right. Wow. Happy birthday.
Errol, who is now almost as old as me and yet looks like he's about a decade younger than me. So
Asian, don't raisin.
So also I hear he never goes outdoors. That probably helps. Let's see. Oh, so one other thing I want to talk about is this, that puzzles can be made of just about anything. So this is a puzzle designed by and sold by somebody named Cheat3, or that's their online handle. And it's a Lego puzzle, and you have to figure out it's a sequential discovery, and you have to figure out how to do stuff. Now, obviously with a Lego puzzle, pieces can be removed because it's Lego, they don't glue them together. So you have to sort of have some rules and boundaries, and with Legos, it can be a little trickier than with other stuff. But it is possible. You can say, okay, if it moves easily, that's the intended move. If you're like pulling them apart, that's not the intended move. But that counts on a designer following those rules as well. The other type of puzzle that is easy to get your hands on if you have a 3D printer or access to one is 3D printed puzzles. There's a whole bunch of 3D printed puzzles on Thingiverse. There's also a printable puzzle project that's online where you can download the design files. If you have a 3D printer or a friend with one, you can print them. And now you've got puzzles. This one's called Twins, which is a frame and two identical pieces, and you have to put them in there, and you have to figure out how to get together. It's kind of medium difficulty. Yep.
Mechanical puzzles on demand. That's amazing.
It's great. I got a 3D printer back last fall during the pandemic, and it rapidly became a constant companion next to me because I was here all the time anyway, and it was just sitting there cranking out puzzles and other things to play with. And for packing puzzles in particular, which are basically a either a tray or a box that you have to put things into, and maybe they're different shapes that are complicated in various ways, or maybe they're very simple, but still it's tricky to figure out how they fit. Um, those print very well. You can print them without having to add supports. You can print them where it's just, they pop off the printer and they work. So
we have a question in chat. Are there instructions anywhere for building your own Lego puzzles?
yes, there are. You can, if you look up Lego puzzle design online, I don't know what the actual search terms, we can probably find that out in a bit. You can definitely find some. Cheat 3, I believe, sells the plans for the puzzles. So, and some other designers as well sell plans for Lego puzzles. I bought some. Some are sequential discovery, some are packing. There's also a book that I bought years ago on Amazon about making Lego puzzles. It was like a print on demand sort of book that showed how to do stuff. Also, if you look at just puzzle designs online for a tray packing puzzle or something, you can probably figure out how to make them, because they generally are a frame with known dimensions and pieces with known dimensions that are square or rectilinear in general, and you can build that out. So it's definitely possible.
Is rectilinear different from rectangular?
It just means it goes along straight lines. It's a fancy way to say that.
Okay. just checking.
So I think we have a puzzle to solve.
You do. Let me get that set up. I just want to show off one other puzzle box before we get into it, which is the Tinker box. We're not going to solve one quite this complicated, but this one has a lot of moving parts. This is by a guy named Stickman and Stick Boy, or Robert Yarger and Neil Hutchison.
I don't think I realized you owned a Stickman puzzle. So I proposed to Lisa with a one-of-a-kind puzzle box that I had made, and Stickman was the first person that I had emailed when I was trying to figure out how to get one made. And he was like, I can do it, but I have like a 7-year waiting list or something.
You didn't want to wait that long to get married?
I was like, as much as I want to do that, no.
A custom puzzle box. Is she like 2 years later? You're still waiting for her answer. She's like, I haven't gotten the proposal yet. Still.
It was designed explicitly for her. A series of mostly inside jokes and references that clued the path, but incredibly scary designing a puzzle with an audience of one, because you can't actually play test it.
Right.
But there's a post on Room Escape Artists if someone wanted to dig it up. Escape of the Ring from the Puzzle Box or something like that. That Lisa wrote, that has all of these photos of the box.
Yep. I don't think I've ever actually seen that hands-on at your place, but Kel Snake.
Kel Snake made it. He's awesome.
another noted puzzle designer.
Phenomenal designer, and
a real nice guy.
Really sweet, and much shorter wait time.
I wouldn't count on that these days. He's
oh really?
He's a busy designer.
Okay.
Thanks, Matthew. Matthew put the put the link in
perfect.
Chat.
Thanks. And then the other puzzle box, this one is actually possible to get your hands on at a reasonable price and generally available. The guys at Adventure have this clue box, which was their first one, and it's nice. It's kind of escape roomy in some ways. There's some codes and stuff, as well as the sliding pieces.
It's fantastic.
And then there's this one, which I don't think David's gotten a chance to play with yet, which is Davy Jones' Locker, which is this is the giant fun party size one. They also comes in the more normal size.
Whoa.
Same puzzle, just different size. And then there's also one they just, I think, released on Kickstarter, or just announced on Kickstarter today, which is Nautilus or something like that. Anyway, they're cool. They're laser cuts. So they're not as fancy, but they're also like, $40. So they're affordable, and they're good, half hour to hour of fun. Anyway, I could talk about puzzles all day, as you well know, because you've heard me do it. So if you want to do this puzzle solve, I will switch cameras and we can start doing that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's go to the Puzz cam.
Go to the Puzz cam. Okay. There we go.
Whoa.
Okay, I just need to move one thing here so I can see what we're doing as we do it. Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit of backstory. So this is designed by a guy named Mike Toulousas, who lives in Greece. and he is a puzzle designer and puzzle crafter. He actually did this. A bunch of family and friends got together and got him to make one of these for me for my 50th birthday a couple years ago. So it's got personal meaning to me, which is always nice in a puzzle, but it's also a really cool puzzle. And my brother actually did the marquetry inlay, which says toolbox there, but made out of tools.
Whoa. Very cool. Wow.
So, as is often the case with an escape room, remote escape room, they give you a little tour of this, and then we can have you guys try to dive in. The lighting looks like it's probably pretty good. You guys can see this okay? Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn on one additional light here that just fills in some shadows. Hopefully that'll make it pretty good. Okay, so we've got the top here with the handle. We've got the handle moves a little bit, but it stops there. And so we can look at this end and we can see...
As Brett tours around, I'm going to jump in with some things that I'm observing. So first thing that I always look for when I'm solving these is what moves.
Right.
That's the literal first thing. So, all right. So handle moves a bit.
Yep. And it's stopped by that little button
stopped
thing.
by this little buttony thing. Right. We can see there's some holes. We can see there's this thing, but this seems to be blocked by the handle.
Blocked by the handle.
Okay. On the top here, we've got a variety of things visible. We've got, this little shiny brass, it's a brass peg. Here we've got another handle, which moves up and down a little bit.
And that looks like it's blocked by the toolbox inlay piece there.
We've got these handles, which don't move. We've got, some things like this pin is visible here that seems to be connected to that rulery thing up on top. We've got another drawer here. So yeah, when talking about, trying to tackle puzzle solving, puzzle boxes in particular, especially sequential discovery type, it's important to notice all the details. You got to look over, all the stuff and say, okay, so I can see here there's, something, there's a little, notch, there's something there. You got to pay attention to all these details. The fact that things do or don't move, don't take for granted that they will or won't move in the future. Here on this side, we got some more details. There's a tiny little brass circle that looks like a hole there. The bottom is blank, so I'm just going to leave it down for the duration. I can tell you that just to make it easier for the solving here, that's not part of what's in play here. So yeah, so that's a tour, and I pointed out some details. I left others for you to discover. So what would you like to do?
First thing that jumped out to me is on the side of the box. It looks like there's a wooden strip that is running along the side.
This one?
Yeah, that strip.
Okay.
I would probably try and wiggle that, see if it moves left or right or up or down at all.
Okay. It does not.
Out.
It is firmly affixed. And
okay.
A good idea of pulling out also. Nope, it does not do that. It does not seem to move. It appears to be firmly attached.
So my instinct would have been to see if anything unscrews, like all those knobs. Is that a typical feature? Like, is that something that you see in these things?
That's perfectly fair. That's in play, unless somebody's told you not to for some reason. So I will try to turn those.
And chat, if any of you have any thoughts, things that you want us to try, feel free to jump in with them.
Oh my God, help us. Yeah.
Right. Actually, here, let me just make one quick change here so I can actually see those comments as well. Okay.
We'll read them out to you also.
Okay, great. So yeah, we've got that. Those didn't do you want me to try the side or other stuff?
Does the handle unscrew? Does the handle like rotate?
Oh, that's a good suggestion as well. That does not rotate. No.
Okay.
And the ends of the handle,
those do not unscrew or pull. Let's see. We can go down. Okay. We've got these things that you want me to try these two.
Yeah.
That does not. That drawer there doesn't move at all.
Okay. Right. What about the button that's blocking the handle? Does that depress or?
Right.
That was going to be my.
It wiggles a little bit. You want me to try doing something to it?
Can you depress it?
You push, pull, twist.
I twist it and it does turn. You want me to keep turning?
Keep turning. Keep turning.
It looks like it unscrews.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's do that.
Okay.
Woo-hoo!
So now we've got this side here, which looks like it's got a little notch in it, brass screw threads, and this button. And we've got a hole. We've now exposed a hole. Okay.
So
does it fit in?
Errol is asking if the tools pull out. I'm guessing
Which-
that's the inlays.
Oh, the inlays? No, the
No.
inlays are flat. There's
I-
no.
Can
I
you
would
put that into the hole underneath it? Does that do anything? Isn't there like that hole?
There's a hole, and good idea. It does not fit.
Or okay.
we do have there is like a texture. It almost looks like a nut driver on the bottom of that.
Oh, turn the handle. Yeah, turn the handle. Now turn the handle.
Oh, yeah, turn the
Robin
handle, for
Wobble
sure.
says turn down the handle.
Okay. Oh, the
gosh,
handle does
yeah.
turn now.
Let's pull out the drawer.
Okay. We pull out the drawer. Hey,
Thank you,
we
Robin.
Pull out the drawer. And
With the
Pointing out the
doy.
obvious.
we've now found a tool, or at least a part of a tool.
Okay.
Looks like a screwdriver.
Can we push in the pin on the side? The one that yeah, right there. That one.
This here?
Yeah,
Or
that
this
one.
or this one?
That one.
This does not. This does not reach.
Okay, so what about the other side? There was the brass pin that was holding in what looks like a ruler.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here.
Yeah, that.
No,
No. Okay.
that doesn't move.
It does
By
look like
the way,
there's
this
threads
drawer
on it.
this drawer, by the way, comes out only this far. I pointed out this tool. I didn't point out it doesn't seem to come out further.
There's something on the top side of the drawer there. Is there anything
This?
we can manipulate there? Yeah.
It's looks like a loose piece that's but it's retained it's blocked
Okay.
by the various
Okay.
pieces here.
Okay. So we have
So
one
this-
thing that's definitely a tool and one thing that might be a tool.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a little, maybe it screws into something, huh? That little screwdriver.
That's what it looks like to me.
Or we
as
gotta
well.
screw that into something. We use a screwdriver, and that's like the screw. Doesn't that look like a
That's-
screw?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
it fits very nicely. Yep.
Big brain moment, PG.
Okay, where do we screw that into?
We could screw it back into the same spot, maybe. Is
Okay.
that
we can do
possible?
that. Sure. Let's see. It does go in nicely there. Okay. Yep. That goes all the way in.
Okay. Can we pull that drawer out any further now?
The drawer
No.
doesn't pull out further.
Okay.
But
Is anything else open?
So I can slide the drawer in and out.
Okay.
None of these seem to open. The handle does now move up and down though. It was
Okay, so
latched in
let's-
place before. So
Let's manipulate the handle a little bit.
okay, so just lift it up.
Yep.
Okay.
And can we lift it up again? Is there any?
It doesn't
move?
go.
Doesn't move.
Oh, the drawer does pull open more now
Okay.
though.
Then let's pull out that drawer.
Okay, and it's hard to tell, but the drawer is blocked by this, so I'm going to assume you want me to flip this back down and try to take the
Yeah,
drawer out.
sure.
Is that
We
correct?
sure do want you to do that. Okay. Can we take
so
a
now
look?
we've got. Oh, you want to look in there? Sure.
Yep. And then
Oh,
there's another drawer.
another drawer. Can you pull it?
Hey, it's an affordance. Imagine that.
Yeah,
Yes,
it looks like it's stopped by a pin.
It's stopped by a pin. Yeah.
Now, can we see? Is that pin attached at all to the handle? Yes, it
Why?
is.
Yes, it is.
All right, so let's flip that the.
Other way. Can
Now
you
it's-
keep
Yeah,
flipping
and
the
now,
handle?
and now flip it back. Yep. Okay. And now flip it back again. Okay. And then back one more time.
Whoa!
And we've now discovered another tool. It's a lovely, lovely little wrench.
Oh
Little
my god,
wrench.
this
Okay.
is so cute.
Okay.
So, I also want to point out that these two pieces, I don't know if we showed before, they have
Okay.
some.
it looks like they have
Screw 'em
threading and
in?
can go together.
Yep.
Try. Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay, two tools down. A complete
Okay.
screwdriver.
Can we take another look inside the hole that we have produced by removing
Sure.
two? Okay, that looks done.
Yep,
Actually done.
I think we're good there.
Cool. Go team. All right.
Okay.
So now we have a wrench and a screwdriver. Let's
Well, I'm
take a look.
plumb out of ideas now.
can we look around the box again a little bit more?
Sure. So we've got the top here. We've got these handles
Yep.
which are still immobile.
Yep.
We've got. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
this.
I was
This
gonna say,
slot
can we
here
can we
has
fit the wrench? Oh, can we fit the wrench down the? There's something on the side.
Oh yeah, that
this
little
this piece here.
yeah.
Either there or the thing we were just looking at. Both. Of
So
them
let's
feel
let's
like-
try here.
Yeah.
That does not fit,
Does not fit.
in the slot there. But you want me to try the wrench on here?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay,
good
let's
measure.
do that. That does fit nicely.
Turn it.
Great. Wrench it.
Whoa!
I see a door popping on the left
Okay.
side.
Oh, and there's all sorts of goodies inside here. Okay, we
Fantastic.
have what looks like a
saw.
Saw, you see a saw. We've got a scribe sort of tool here.
Okay.
And then we've got this piece here, which, there we go.
Okay. Can we?
Oh, and by the way, you can see here that that's pretty much the contents of that.
Okay.
Can you put the handle on the saw?
Sure.
Oh, it's got that little piece. Oh, you
Yep.
just unscrew it. Okay.
That comes out. That's you would have found that instantly if you were holding this in person. So I'll just do that for you. I will say that doing this, even with two hands on camera, makes me even more impressed by the avatars that can do puzzles one-handed in escape rooms. They're like, I'm opening a lock with a key and I have to twist it somehow with one hand, and they can do it fluidly. Okay, so now
we have a saw. Can we put the saw into the slot that we tried to put the wrench into earlier? Yeah.
Sure. And let's see, we can push it. Oh, and it's pushing the thing and making a nice little clicking noise.
Clicking noises are good.
And so I'll keep sawing here.
Yeah, just keep cutting until something falls off.
Okay. Oh, well, nothing fell out, but I don't know if you can tell, there's now a darker tooth here that has gone to the top, lined up with that little darker line.
Okay. Can you
open,
by any chance, open that door?
This one here?
Yeah.
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Can you slide? Does anything else move now? Does that thing slide in the middle?
Well, the handle still moves. This doesn't slide. That's doing the same thing it always did. Those are about the same. Nothing. Yeah, nothing else seems to be.
What about that ledge that we looked at? The first thing that we looked at. Does that
this one or?
Yeah, or the one on the other side that doesn't.
Okay. That does not move. And that does not move.
Okay. All right.
Oh, we've still got that pin. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go for it. Go for it.
I was going to say there was a little hole on the other side. Will that fit in on the other side?
Over here?
Yeah. That doesn't fit.
It's too big.
Okay.
Too big for that one.
Okay. What about on this side? What about pushing that scroll into into that hole?
Yes. And
okay, now let's check that door.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, the door does indeed open. Okay.
Great.
Now there's some goodies inside. Let's see if I can get those out.
Love goodies.
We got this, which is a little circle with a brass pin and a threading on it.
Okay.
It's a smaller diameter pin.
Okay.
We've got, I'm going to turn this over and shake these pieces out. We've got two other pieces, which are what appear to be kind of a handly thing, and what appear to be, well, you can probably figure out what that is.
Can we?
It looks like a hammer. Can we put them together and make a hammer?
Okay.
Oh, that's super cute.
I'm like, it's a half moon, or it's a horn. Okay, very cute.
Okay, so now we've got a saw, we've got a wrench, we've got a hammer, we've got a screwdriver. We're doing great here.
Oh
Can we put that new smaller pin into the hole that we tried earlier on the far side there?
Okay, we can do that. It does not seem to go in there.
Okay.
It goes in partly. It fits in the hole, but it doesn't go all the way in.
But what if we apply the hammer? I kid.
Can you screw it? Is it threaded?
Delicately tap. It is not threaded on that part of the part of it.
Look, there's a little hole on the side of that thingy.
Yeah, there is. I noticed that too. Okay, so we now have a whole bunch of tools. We have a hammer. Is there anything we can reach?
Maybe you gotta pry. Maybe you're not using the hammer. Maybe you're using it to pry something.
Okay, where would you like to try that?
Can
what
you
about that piece? Yeah, I think Peih-Gee and I are on the same idea.
That little piece there, does that anything pry on top?
This piece here, this.
That piece, that first one you touched.
This one, okay. The hammer sort of fits under there. This is I don't know if you can see. There's a little gap there, but that piece there, it fits under, but nothing seems to really pry.
Okay, you can't pry it. Okay.
I could apply more force, but that would probably break things. So I will not pry
Okay.
There's
real hard.
there's a little hole on the front of the hammer. Does that?
Oh
David,
yeah.
did
What
you
if we
see
put
that?
can we screw the piece that we just tried to screw into the side? Does that fit into?
It does.
Now it looks
Now
more.
it
That
looks
looks more
Now
hammery.
that's much more hammerish.
Right.
Okay, I'm into it. Okay.
So you want a reminder of things you haven't used yet, or do you have a good mental inventory of
I
those?
think we know. What's that thing on front of that piece that we just tried to pry? There's like a little bar. What's that thing?
This here?
Yeah, is that just?
So that is just wood that seems to be glued onto here. So
Okay.
that is holding it in. This piece here is a little brass pin that doesn't move when I press on it, but that is going through a hole in this. So this piece looks like, it might be able to come out, but right now it can't.
Okay, and we
Okay.
couldn't pry, and you couldn't pry that. It'll damage it. Okay.
Right. So other things, we haven't used this.
Yeah, can we tap that
yet.
with the hammer?
Sure. Nope.
Nope. Cool.
I will say I'm probably not going to hit anything with the hammer harder than I would actually push on it. So
makes sense.
and so this also moves a bit still up and down. And then you found that this goes into the hole that you haven't used.
Okay.
And
So we've used the saw, we've used the screwdriver, and we've used the wrench.
Oh,
which
Matthew
implies
says maybe there's something magnetic in the hammer. Try on the pin on top.
good idea. I'm impressed that Matthew is watching this because he might have had a chance to solve this in real life, but
What about
Look, there's like
There's
little
not
tiny.
magnetic
Look, do you see? There's little notches on the prying part. Will that fit in the pin? How about? Can you use those on the pin?
I think it's
Nope.
below the surface.
Nope.
What about
Okay.
using the top of the hammer on the pin to the left side of the box
Which pin is that?
by your left index finger?
I see. Got it. That pin.
I'm guessing by your confusion in the instruction that it's not the next step.
Well, there's a couple pins here, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, right. And I will say that both this pin and this pin seem to be brass.
Okay, so they're not going to be magnetic. Okay.
So things
What
you found-
about-
yeah, go ahead.
What about what about sliding the claw part of the hammer underneath the ruler?
Okay.
Is there any
it
slot there?
It does fit here. Let's take a look at what's under there. So see how there is something
Okay.
down in there.
There is something down there.
Right.
Yeah.
So just so you know what I'm doing here, when I do this, it does seem like it hits that, and I think I can manipulate it.
Pull it
with-
all the way.
with
Can
that.
you? Yeah. Push it.
Okay, I can push it down.
Okay. Now pull or pull.
Well, I
up on
can't move this because the hammer's in the way while I'm
Slide.
holding
What
it
about?
down.
Does that thing slide? The other knob that we haven't opened yet.
No,
The
no,
that
they're
one.
not sliding.
Okay.
So he's holding that in place. So basically, if you let go, the pin comes back.
Yes.
You have to hold it there.
Yep.
Can you move that ruler? Does it move left, right, up, down? Is there any position
No.
that it can get any extra give? Nothing.
No, especially not with the hammer there. It's kind of pushing down on it.
Okay. What about that little ledge? Does that still move? Is that anything? Does that?
No.
Okay.
Huh. Anyone in chat have any ideas?
What about the little sideways knob? Which little sideways knob are we talking about? Over on here, this side, or one of these?
What about that? Okay, that flat thing that's held in place with a pin. Does that now slide out? Does it?
This
No. The
moves
other one.
exactly.
The one that's held in with the pin.
Oh, this. No.
That doesn't-
Nothing
that didn't-
seems to move when I do this, right?
That didn't do anything for that. Okay.
I'll point out that-
Can you open up that part where can you just? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, can you pull the hammer now to the right?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Does that pull the top off? Where it says toolbox? Does that?
Uh-huh. Oh, I see. Does this move?
That doesn't.
No, it does not
like
move.
flip open or nothing like that. Okay.
Right.
So the little knob on top of the ruler, we've tried moving it in every direction there is, and it doesn't have
Right.
any give when the hammer is in place above it.
Right.
Yeah, we've
So
tried
I'll-
both of those knobs.
Right. I'll tell you that when I'm doing this, it feels like it's pushing the brass pin that's back in there down.
Okay.
That's why
So
I thought that top part was gonna like come loose or come open somehow.
Right.
No, the other one just below the ruler. We tried manipulating that one too, and it didn't want to go.
And the knob in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Does pushing down the pin change the small hole in the back?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
This hole here?
Yeah.
It looks like it's kind of lined up with that, but it doesn't change anything visibly.
Okay.
Is there another hole we're forgetting about? Is there?
Well, you haven't used that hole yet, right?
No, we've not. Can we take apart something that would fit into there?
Well, the hammerhead did fit in there when it was apart.
Okay. Let's try.
Unscrew the hammerhead and put it in now?
Yeah.
Okay, now try it.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, let me see if I can do the manipulation here required to do this. It's funny at this angle here. Let me just.
Just.
Okay, so I can do that, and it goes
there
all the
we
way
go.
in now.
Go chat.
And while I am pulling this out, I can hear the pin didn't pop back up.
Yay! Okay.
So now
you can see that the pin is recessed, and I'm able to
slide it,
lift
Slide
this,
that.
and slide it back.
Fantastic.
So now I've got a ruler, and I've also uncovered these holes here.
Okay. Can we get a better look down those holes? Like maybe it looks like maybe we want to put the wrench down the second one. Does that fit?
Let's see. Yeah, the wrench fits nicely there.
Okay. What about putting the saw into the one to the left of it?
Also fits very nicely.
Okay, and the hammer I think has the to the
right. The right.
Yep. It feels a little naked without its head on here, so I'm going to put that on there. There we go.
Okay,
oh no, the other. I would put the hammer in the other hole, right? Because then the screwdriver goes.
Yeah, it doesn't fit in that hole.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, and then the screwdriver tipped down into the.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, we got. It looks like an almost complete toolbox. If we could just figure out what this is for, and.
Okay. Does that pin on the left side, the wooden nub right below the hammer, does that do anything now?
Oh, well, yes, it does. With a satisfying clack. And then this pin here, I don't know if you can see, but it's now protruding. It's now popped out.
Okay. Let's try and
pull it out
or remove the.
It does not pull out. It is springy. It pushes back down to where it was, but I can't push it below where it was.
I don't think we want to push it back down. I think we want to find something else. So can we take a look around the box?
That side's still pretty much the same. Nothing visibly changed.
Okay.
Here, let's look in here. Nothing changed in there.
Oh, Celia says try rotating it. Can it rotate?
The screwdriver.
The piece. No, the piece.
This piece?
Yeah. No, the wood around it. Can you move it now? Can you rotate it around it?
That doesn't rotate. The pin does rotate.
The ruler fits inside the gap, maybe.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't really. It does a little bit, but it's at an angle that would not really. It doesn't go in very far. It is kind of the right size, but it's at an angle. It's not working.
Okay, so we really probably have to figure out what we're doing with that ruler, because everything thus far has used the tool we most recently got to progress. So
the things that have just recently happened are you removed the ruler and you've popped the pin out.
Can you put the hole in the ruler on that pin? Does that?
That's a good idea. It again might actually fit around the pin, but it's not at an angle that's good for that.
So it's got a little slidey thing on the back of that ruler though. What, like around the hole?
I think.
Oh, that was just to slide the pin. That was when it pushed. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
The locking mechanism for the ruler itself.
Okay.
What have we not interacted with? I feel like we've used most of what's on this box.
There's just that hole. There's just that gap underneath that little wooden piece.
Well, you're kind of right. You've kind of got it narrowed down to this area that you haven't interacted with. So the recent things we've done are you extracted the ruler, put these pieces in, slid that over, and then this is popped out
Yeah.
or popped up. I guess it didn't really pop out.
Can we open up that little hatch to the left there? That is it. No, on top of the box.
Okay.
So anything changed inside there? Because it's in the same
No.
neighborhood.
No, there's
Okay.
nothing new.
Okay.
Nothing new there. And things you can do, this, like I said, is kind of springy, pushes down. It also rotates.
Should we
So
keep?
let's twist it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. It does seem to be moving up more. I don't know if you can see that there. There's some screw threads becoming available. Okay, now we have
Okay.
a little brass piece that we've unscrewed.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay. So can we now try and manipulate that again?
Sadly, we still cannot remove this because there's a piece here that still is blocking it.
Okay, does that
Okay.
pin go in? Is there a hole on the side of the box that we haven't used yet or that it can go into?
There's not really a pin. It doesn't fit into, and you've already used the holes that are there, and it doesn't fit in the holes that are
Okay.
available.
What about using the tip of the ruler, the brass pin there? Does that push down at all?
Just pushing in here, or
Does that push into the hole? Sorry.
yes, it does. Oh, and there we go. Okay, this is popped loose.
Great.
Okay, so now you've got, this has a little threaded zone on it.
Let's put the pin, the pin that you have in your hand into there.
Okay. And I will point out that this piece here now fits
That's
nicely
okay.
there.
Okay, so
And
now we have
you've assembled the last tool, and you are complete. You've completed the toolbox.
woot.
Very good.
Oh, very cool. What do they call that kind of ruler?
Carpenter square, I think.
Okay, very cool.
And you can actually use
slide
it
rule.
because it's not quite, but yes, literally it is a slide rule. You're right. I never thought about that.
That's what
No,
Celia
you're
said.
right. It is a ruler and a slide, and it is literally a slide rule. Actually, I never thought about that. So yeah, that's there you go.
That's an awesome puzzle. Thank you, Brett.
So cool.
Good work. Good job.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautifully constructed.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's solid wood, and of the puzzles that I've got, it is the one that sort of is most applicable for remote solving because everything's big enough and visible enough in general. It's not like you have to tilt it to some weird angle to do stuff. Everything is a physical manipulation. So
I'm obsessed with this.
For that.
This was so much fun because I was always thinking of mechanical puzzles as those metal ones that you showed us, those entanglement ones, which I hate. And this is so cool. Like this was like doing an escape room.
Right, that's what I like about it. It pushes the same buttons for me. So, okay, I'm gonna switch back to the other camera. You'll have to. I apologize. You'll have to look at me instead of the nice puzzle box. But.
And I will switch back to gallery view. That was super awesome. Thank you so much for showing those to us.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There are puzzle boxes, maybe not quite that complex, that are like we talked about clue box and other stuff. I know one of the questions I always get from people is where can I get some of these? I have no stake in any of these. I don't manufacture or sell them. I'm friends with some of the people who make them, but that's about as far as it goes. There's another puzzle box here. I think the guy goes on Etsy by the Mediterranean Carver. David just got this one. This is actually pretty nice. It's got some hidden steps and other stuff, and it's hand carved and stuff, and is not terribly expensive, and is actually available, unlike most of the other ones. So yeah, I mean, people can reach out and ping me if they have questions. There's also a mechanical puzzle Discord for people who want to learn more about it. And a lot of the puzzles that I showed you earlier, like the Paradise and things like that, come from people on the mechanical puzzle Discord. There's designers on there and people who got into solving and then decided, hey, I can make puzzles. I'm a woodworker. I'm a 3D designer, or I can learn those things. And that's one of the other things I love is that, people have probably seen toothpick puzzles and things like that, where you just have to like move toothpicks around. Anybody, you don't have to be a woodworker or a metal worker or a glass blower or whatever to make puzzles. You don't even have to know how to do 3D printing. You can make puzzles out of anything. I teach an escape room design class, and I just give the students a big box of random things, poker chips and dice and, just weird colored plastic bits and rubber bands and stuff, and just say, here, invent a puzzle. You get 10 minutes, go. And not all the puzzles you make in 10 minutes are going to be great, but you'll get an idea. You get a core of an idea. You'll try it out with a friend. You'll play test. You'll iterate. You'll improve the design, and you can come up with great puzzles that way. And they can be mechanical or more word puzzles or both. But pretty much anybody can design them. And so, that's the other thing I want to encourage is that, once you've solved some, you're probably going to have ideas for like, I would like this, except I want it to be more like that. And go for it. Try it.
Brett, Celia wants to know, where do you teach?
So I have taught a puzzle design class at a local high school a couple times. There's a high school called Bergen Academies in Bergen County, New Jersey. They're like a public magnet school where students take a test to get in. They have tracks in all sorts of different things like culinary and business and engineering, computer science, performing arts. They have some fantastic, all the students are very smart and very good at what they do. And so I taught an elective there a couple times. The last time ended, literally the last class I taught was the last day they had school in person as the pandemic was shutting everything down. So we didn't quite get to stage the escape room they had built, which maybe was okay because the escape room was virus themed and about a plot by a organization to release a virus that only they had the vaccine for. So that might not have been the best theme at that time in the world. But the students had some great puzzles. We got to play test them, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Hey, so Brett, is there anything else that you would like to promote while you're here? I've put your website in the chat. Is there anything else you want to promote?
No, just there's lots of great puzzles out there. People should go find them and play with them, and I'm happy to help them with that if they want. And like David already noted, if you ever meet me in person, I'll probably all of this. I don't carry some of these boxes around with me, but I carry a lot of puzzles around with me, so I'll push them on you.
He's always got something. And then my favorite thing is when we're sitting at a restaurant solving puzzles at our table, and someone at a nearby table is like looking on longingly, and Brett reaches into the bag and gives them a puzzle. That's peak Brett right there. And it's delightful.
Awesome. So I've put a link to Brett's website, which is thatguywiththepuzzles.com, and it is mostly just a collection of resources that he's gathered with links to different games and puzzles. So if you guys like these things, please go check out his website. I'll just have a couple more things to promote. We got to wrap up soon, but go ahead, David.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. First of all, we're publishing the first episode of season 2 of the Reality Escape Pod. That is coming up next Tuesday. And our guest is a guy named Neil Patrick Harris. He's a bright guy. He seems like he has a future. But he made a game called Box One. It's awesome. You should play Box One before listening to that episode because
it is so much fun. It is such a good game. I mean, it is
so
a quality
good.
game.
It's so good. And Neil was very insistent on spoiling a whole bunch of stuff in the episode.
And he's so excited to talk about it. So play it and then listen to our podcast, which we'll be releasing next week.
Yeah. We have the Reality Escape Convention, Recon, August 22nd and 23rd, Sunday, Monday. It is pay what you want. It's for puzzle people. It's for solvers. It's for people who want to create games. We got content for all of you. Working on producing all the talks right now, and they're coming out great. So I'm very excited about it. So you can find out about that at realityescapecon.com.
And put all those links in the chat as well.
Someone's putting them there. Peih-Gee's putting them there. Thank you. And then we also have, we're actually thinking we're going to be able to run them. We've been in the past running escape room tours. We have one tour in New Jersey to 13th Hour Escape Rooms, which is one of my favorite companies in the region. It's kind of a pain to get to, so we got a bus running out of Manhattan to get people there. It's going to be a good time. It's a one-day tour, and then we have a 3-day tour going up to Montreal. Both of these are in the fall. We're confident that the border's going to open. That tour is almost sold out, and I Brett actually has gone on all of our trips to research and plan for that tour. It's going to be a ton of fun. So hope you can make it out to any number of these events.
Awesome.
I wanted to tag one other thing, which
Yep.
is I can't post in the Twitch stream because I'm not logged in, but I've got a friend with a puzzle site, robspuzzlepage.com. If you go there, it is probably the best single puzzle information resource on mechanical puzzles on the internet. It's advertising free. He's not making money on it. I host it for him, but it's just got tons of information. So if you want to find out more about this stuff, including where to buy it, or just like, hey, I've always wondered about all the different shapes and sizes of Rubik's cubes and twisty puzzles in general, it's somewhere on his webpage. He's got a ton of information there. So that's a good starting place for some of this stuff.
Awesome.
And then the mechanical puzzle Discord as well is a great resource. And if people contact me, I can tell them how to get on that.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I'm super excited about trying more mechanical puzzles. That was really fun. I've got one more plug from IndieCade, and they've got a show, RP Game Changers, that will be on Tuesdays from 3 to 5 Pacific, and they are currently playing Business Wizards by 9th Level Games. And RP Game Changers, how you say it, is a celebration of the greatest tabletop role-playing games in IndieCade's history. So that should be pretty exciting, and make sure you guys check that out. We are Reality Escape Pod, and we host Beyond Screens escape rooms every second Tuesday. So we will be here monthly, and come back and check us out. Thank you all so much for joining. And Brett, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your puzzles with us. That was super fun. I was really intimidated, to be honest, but now I feel much more confident about them.
Good. I think everybody should feel confident in their ability to solve puzzles. There's a puzzle for everybody. So
Brett is mechanical puzzle Yoda.
Thank you guys so much, and we will see you here next month.